Tonight's Appalachian tale is not just a story, it's a warning passed down by families who don't dare live near certain waters. Comment below if you've ever had a moment where your instincts screamed louder than your mind, and let us know where you're listening from. This is Fear Begins. I was 17 when I first heard about the pond. My name's Levi McKinnon. I grew up in Southwest Virginia, just outside a hollow called Bear Ridge. Population maybe 50 if you count dogs and ghosts. There's a pond out there deep in a thicket where pine trees grow so tight you can't walk straight without brushing bark. No trails lead to it. The trees form a kind of wall, but you can hear it, even if you've never seen it. It screams not all the time, but when it does, you'll never forget it. My uncle David first told me about it. Said, "Boy, you hear water screaming, you turn your back and walk. Don't look, don't listen. Just leave." I laughed, thought he was just trying to scare me like he always did. But then he said something strange, real quiet. He said, "I went down there once, lost a piece of myself I never got back." That stuck with me, especially because Uncle David stopped sleeping normal after that. He'd talk in his sleep, whispers, like he was answering someone or apologizing. That fall, I got stupid. There were 4 of us, me, Wyatt, Clara, and Mikey. We were seniors, bored out of our minds, and itching for anything that felt like a story. Wyatt dared us to go find the pond, said if it really screamed, we'd record it, post it, go viral. Clara didn't want to. She grew up near the old mining site where her grandpa said the pond once swallowed a manhole. Nobody ever found. Mikey brought his dad's drone. I brought a flashlight and 3 Red Bulls, because why not? Right? We left at 6 p.m. It was dark by 7, and we got lost by 7:15. The forest swallowed sound. Our cell signals dropped to nothing, and then we heard it. Not a scream, not yet, but something moving just ahead of us between the trees, pacing. We froze. Wyatt whispered, "Bear?" But it didn't sound like hooves or paws. It sounded like feet, bare ones slapping wet earth. Clara grabbed my arm. Mikey was already reaching for the drone, and then we saw the water black. Still no moonlight touched it, but it was steaming. Even though the air was near freezing, we should have turned back right then. But Mikey launched the drone, sent it up and over the water. Clara whispered, "I don't like it. It's too quiet." Wyatt laughed, but it sounded forced. And then the drone feed on Mikey's phone went black. No static, no signal loss, just a solid black screen. Then a sound came from the trees, not a scream. Not human, but high, twisting, sharp enough to shake your bones. It wasn't from the drone. It wasn't from any of us. It came from the pond. The scream rose, got louder, like it was coming up from the bottom of the water. Then it stopped, and everything went dead silent. Not forest quiet, not natural, like the world took a breath and held it. Then the water rippled, and something broke the surface. At first, it looked like a tree branch, thin black dripping, then another one beside it, then a face. No eyes, no mouth, just skin, stretched and wet, rising slowly. Clara screamed. Wyatt dropped his flashlight. I grabbed her and ran. Mikey didn't, stood there, staring at the pond, not moving, not blinking. I yelled, "Mikey, move!" But he didn't. Then he turned to look at us, except it wasn't him. The face was wrong, like it wore his skin, but didn't fit inside it. And then it smiled and whispered, "Do you hear it too?" We ran all the way back to the truck, didn't look behind the whole ride home. Wyatt didn't say a word. Clara cried in the back seat, and I kept watching the rear view, waiting to see if something followed. The next morning, Mikey's parents called the sheriff. We didn't lie. We said he ran off. We couldn't find him. They Searched for 3 days, found nothing, no drone, no tracks, no signs except one thing. On the third day, the sheriff found Mikey's phone on the steps of his house. The drone footage was gone. All that was on it was a single voice memo, Mikey's voice, saying just 3 words. It wants me. I haven't been back. Clara moved to Pennsylvania. Wyatt stopped talking to us completely, and last week I got a letter with no return address. Inside was a photo of the pond, still black, still steaming, with 4 shadows standing at the edge, none of them facing the water, and on the back of the photo, written in what looked like pond mud, "Next scream is yours." I bought the land myself. My name's Darren Lowe. I'm 34 now. I own a construction company out of Asheville. Back in 2021, I bought 30 acres of mountain land out past Harlan. It was cheap, too cheap. Everyone in the area warned me. Not up on Widow's Peak. Things don't build right up there. But I didn't listen because I didn't believe in ghost stories. Not back then. The first few weeks were quiet. We cleared brush, graded a path, and poured footers for a small rental cabin, Airbnb money. That was the plan, but my crew started quitting. One by one, Ricky said he heard a voice while walking alone. Said it asked for his name and whispered it back to him, but no one was there. Kenny, my foreman, went missing for 3 hours. Said he blacked out near the old birch tree and woke up at the bottom of a shallow pit. We all laughed at first, just Appalachian nerves, right? Until the 3rd week when we saw the lantern. It was around 3:30 a.m. I was camping on site, watching footage from the trail cams we set up around the property. Something had been cutting wires and moving our tools. I figured it was kids or a bear then. The footage glitched for about 2 seconds, and during that glitch I saw a figure standing between the cabins, tall, thin, wearing a long coat or cloak, holding a lantern, but not just holding it, raising it like he was showing it off, and his head wasn't right. It was bent at an angle too far, as if it was broken or hanging by something invisible. I ran outside. Nothing, no sound, no tracks, just the smell of burnt wood, like a fire had been put out hours ago. The next morning, I reviewed all 5 cameras again. Each one glitched at the exact same time, and each glitch showed the same figure, from a different angle, always holding the lantern, always watching. The old man at the diner called him the Lantern Man. Said the story goes back to the Civil War. There used to be a Union scout out here, a deserter. He'd light a lantern near the ridge to signal Confederate troops, tricking them into ambushes. Locals caught him, hung him right at the peak. But the story didn't end there. They say on foggy nights, he walks the ridgeline, still carrying his lantern, trying to finish whatever mission he was on, dragging souls who looked too long into his light. I didn't believe it until I saw him again. This time he wasn't in a glitch. He was standing on the ridge, visible from my cabin window, lantern raised. I blinked. He was gone, but in his place was a small fire lit perfectly in a circle of stones. In the center of that fire was one of my construction helmets, melted and cracked open. The next morning I found our saws lined up on the porch, like someone was sorting them. One of them was stained ready. Never found who or what did it, but I know this: that night I packed everything and left. Sold the land 3 months later at a loss, moved my business east. But the new owner, a guy named Curtis, called me last month, said the cabins are still half built, sighed every time he tries to finish them. The wood splits, the nails curl, the machines fail. And last week, he woke up at 3:30 a.m. to find a lantern burning on the porch, no one else around. Just a note beneath it scorched, black with 4 words burned into the wood. Wrong hill to build. Outro voiceover. The lantern man doesn't chase, he waits. He warns, and then he takes, and if you ever find yourself staring down from Widow's Peak, ask yourself, is that flicker in the woods just firelight, or is it your name being called? My name is Jonah. I'm 31 now, but this happened when I was 24. Was part of a historic restoration team working in northern Georgia. We were fixing up Craigmore Church, a 150-year-old clapboard building that hadn't been used since the 60s. No congregation, no services, no light bulbs, even just dust rot. And what we thought was history, we were wrong. The church sat in a hollow surrounded by trees, so thick it was like stepping into a cave. Inside was colder, even in Augusta. Was the only one who didn't grow up in the area. Locals refused to work on it, called it cursed, said the land was bad. But to me, it was just a job until we uncovered the door. It was under the pulpit, a rotted trapdoor hidden beneath layers of warped floorboards. We thought it led to a root cellar, maybe an old baptism pool. When we pried it open, the air that came up was wrong, wet. Not like water, but something rotten sour. The smell of something buried for too long and not done with the world above. We lowered a camera on a rope, just a cheap GoPro with a flashlight rig. The footage was black at first, then shapes started to form: pillars, rotted pews, stone walls, but no stairs, no ladders, just a pit. And then something moved low, fast, something crawling. I told my boss. He laughed, said rats were normal in buildings this old, but that didn't look like rats. It looked like a person on all fours, but too fast arms, too long skin, too paley. Told me to keep it quiet, said we didn't want to scare off investors too. Nights later, I stayed late to finish documentation. The crew had left hours earlier. I heard movement below the floorboards. Not mice, not shifting wood, dragging, scraping, and breathing heavy, wet, close. Then I heard my name whispered from beneath the pulpit. Jonah. I froze. The voice sounded like my mother's, except she'd been dead for 5 years. I ran, didn't sleep that night. The next day, I told my coworker Kaylee. She believed me, said her uncle had worked the church back in the 90s, and he'd said the same thing happened to him. Voices, whispers, and something trying to open the trapdoor from below. We brought back the camera, set it on a tripod. This time we left it recording all night. Next morning we watched it back at exactly 3:17 a.m. The trapdoor creaked, opened slow from the inside, and something came out, not fully human, not fully animal. It moved like it was used to crawling back, arched limbs jerking like a puppet. It sniffed the air, then walked directly to the camera and stared for 15 seconds. Eyes just sunken skin and black holes where eyes should be. Then it crawled back down. I quit that morning, packed my stuff and drove back to Knoxville. A month later, the church burned down. They said it was arson, but I saw the photos. There was no sign of fuel, no ignition source, and near the remains of the pulpit was a mark on the stone scratched into the foundation. It looked like a door with dozens of fingers reaching out from the other side. I haven't spoken to anyone on that job since, but 3 weeks ago I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photo, black and white, of a face pressed against the camera lens in the dark. The same hollow eyes, same sunken cheeks, and a note stapled to the back. It read, "You opened the door, now we open yours." OUTRO. Voiceover. Some places weren't abandoned, they were sealed, and When you disturb what crawls beneath, you don't just uncover history, you invite it into your home.